All right. Obviously, with the hurricane last week, number one, thoughts and prayers are with everybody south of us and anybody within the Tampa area. We had to suspend practice last week due to that, and so we're kind of in the makeup mode right now. But we've had 5 really good, high-quality practices. Today will be number 6. And the guys have been terrific. I thought we had a great summer, a great preseason in the fall, with 8 returning players, 3 transfers, and 2 freshmen. I'm starting to see guys getting connected a little bit on the court, and they've done a great job off the court as well. So I'm excited about it. It's a team that practices extremely hard, and that's one of the things in our program we really value, the day in and day out operations and habits of each individual that hopefully will build to a collective unit that can go out there and perform well. So been very pleased with where we're at right now, and we need to get a lot better obviously at this stage, but we're trending in the right direction.
How does it feel having 7 of your top 9 scorers back this season? I mean, that doesn't happen in college basketball nowadays.
No, and you know, again, with the transfer portal and all those different things, I feel very fortunate, like you said, to have those guys coming back. I think it speaks volume because we had a difficult year last year. But all those guys were first-year players for the most part in the program, so many of them. Russell didn't play a lot his first year here, and Jameer, so really those 2 guys were the only ones that, you know, had been in it. So feel good about that in terms of also in practice now. Even though it's the second year for some of those guys, they're kind of the veterans out here, and they know everything that we're supposed to do and are doing it very well right now. It can really help not only the freshmen, but sometimes we lose sight of the connection that a transfer has coming in to the new system and new program. Especially if a guy's been at the other place for 2 or 3 years, that system's been ingrained in him and he's comfortable with that. Now all of a sudden in a 3-month period or 2-month period, he has to learn whole new terminology, coverages, offensive actions, all those things. And though he's got experience playing, it's not as easy as people think. And those guys have to spend a lot of extra time to get comfortable with how we do things.
One such guy is Tyler Harris, your point guard. What do you need to get out of him this season?
Well, I'd like him to shoot the ball from the 3 like he did over his career. That would obviously greatly help our offensive efficiency. But I think one of the reasons he came here is to play a bigger role and to play a more significant, consistent role. And for him to do that, he has to, you know, improve in some areas. Obviously, he's a tremendous scorer and a tremendous shooter, but playing at the point guard spot, creating shots for other people, understanding what we want in terms of our transition game and in the half court. He's been well coached. There's no doubt about that. He's been well coached, but in a different system and style. So the one thing is just to embrace some of the changes and be very coachable. He's got a great knowledge for the game. Now being able to communicate that is going to be the next step for him. And the more he's comfortable with what we're doing, the easier it is for him to communicate that to his teammates.
Coach, year 6 for you. If you can pinpoint one thing that you're looking forward to this year, what would that be?
Well, I think we'll get back to playing with the intensity and the toughness that we played with when we've had success here. Even with some injury-ridden years and the COVID year, we were always physically tough, mentally tough, and we just didn't have that. And getting back to that style and having the mental toughness and the physical toughness to create offensive opportunities where you either make baskets or you get offensive rebounds, I think this group can do a very good job of that. And as I said, for me, my best time of the day is the 2.5 hours on the court in practice. And every great team I've ever been a part of has always valued that 2.5 hours as well. Not just the 30 games we get to play. It's those other days that give you the best opportunity to be successful in games. So you have to be a great practice team, and having guys embrace that is always a challenge, but it's exciting when you see the guys do that.
Last time we talked with you, you said you wanted to be closer to 70 possessions a game, play a little quicker. What does that look like? Is it maybe getting out in transition a little bit more, taking shots earlier in the shot clock? What are you trying to achieve there?
Well, 70 isn't like rip and run and just chaotic basketball. 70 is a good pace. And so we talk about the pace that we want to play at, and that means we do want to run on missed shots and turnovers and made shots, get the ball down the court quickly. We set the parameters and let our guys make basketball plays within those parameters. We don't have a set thing we have to shoot before 15 seconds on the shot clock. We want to take good shots. And the other thing, I think we're getting 70 possessions is getting quality defensive possessions where you're getting stops earlier in the shot clock. Now, we made teams grind it out last year. We were not good offensively. That's, spoiler alert there, you know what I mean? But we were still in the top 50 defensively efficiency rate, which you got to give our guys credit for that, because that's hard to do when you're not scoring, to continue to grind it out on defense. But we got to be more active, create some more turnovers, get some more deflections, and I think we're long enough, athletic enough, and quick enough to kind of do that. Block some shots that lead to some run outs and different things like that. But the 70 possession rate is something that gives us a good kind of guideline to see, are we playing at the pace? And that's the term we use, is pace. We don't want to run or play fast. We want to play with pace. So that means even in the half court, when you're running and executing a set, it's done with crispness and sharp and aggressive, and the execution is done with a little zip and zap to it. You know what I mean? And if you do that, you're going to get those possession rates up. We're only talking 6 more possessions a game. It's not like we're going from 50 to 80, so it's going to be those little things that will make a difference in that.
You mentioned getting this thing moving in the right direction. Are there concrete goals in your mind that would lead to that results that you want to see this year?
Well, I think, again, with the non-conference slate that we have, puts us in good position to build a good enough RPI, strength of schedule, whatever term they're using nowadays to determine that. Road game at Auburn, road game against the Missouri Valley champ in Northern Iowa, 3 really good home games. Hofstra's coming in, who's picked the top of the league. UMass is going to be really good, and then the tournament in Daytona. And then I think our league is going to be really, really good again, with potentially the #1 preseason team in the country in Houston. So our #1 goal every day is to get better every day, okay? But we have to put ourselves in a position now where we're able to not only compete against the best teams in the league, but we got to start beating some of those, and I have no problem with that. We got to be at that point right now where we're winning games and putting ourselves in a position to play in the postseason.
And then, you were very adamant on social media, very outspoken about when Russell was stuck back at home.
Mm-hmm.
Getting him back on campus, what was that moment like for you and your program?
Yeah, it was great, and I just got chills thinking about it, because he was so excited to get back. Maybe not as excited as me, but it was great. And again, I personally wanted to thank all the elected officials. I was on both sides of the aisle. It didn't matter to me on that one. And the media was tremendous. And I think with all the work that was done, that was the final piece that kind of pushed it over the edge. So usually I don't like you guys all that much, but I appreciate your effort on that one. He was excited to get back. He was excited to get back to work. He was excited to get back with his teammates. And get back to school and do all those things, and it was for me, seeing him and the desire that he had to get back and get back to work. As much as he loved being with his family, he was frustrated, and it's just a load off his shoulders, and he was able to get to work right away.
Knowing you wouldn't have that for any player, but what does he bring to your team that makes him so lethal that you wanted to work hard to get him back?
Yeah, he's just a unique player, obviously, with great size and strength, and he can run as well as anybody in the country. He anchors our defense. He's the best ball screen defender from the big spot, the post spot, of anybody in the country, and grew so much last year, was playing his best basketball at the end of the year. Now he's a little bit behind. He's probably another 2 or 3 weeks before his body is completely back and his feel and comfort level out on the court. I did have to take him in front of the team after 3 days and reintroduce him to make sure they knew when he was open in the post to throw it in there, because we hadn't had anybody in the post all summer long. So he's just, again, a very mature young man that wants to get better, always learning, always wanting to do the right thing, and he's a big part of what we do.
And we'll see transfers. I mean, the transfer portal now the last 5 years is,
Bonkers.
a daily people. It is. I mean, that and maybe not getting results in the win column for college kids to get them to buy into that 2.5 hours a day between games. Just what is that a challenge as a coach?
Well, what you do, what every coach is doing is fighting against human nature. Because it's, okay, I work hard, I should be getting these results. That's what, well, you got to fight against that, because you don't know when those results are going to come. And the only guarantee is if you don't do that, you're definitely not going to be successful. And if you do it, does it guarantee success? No, because that time could come later on too. You know what I mean? And you're fighting against that. And so that's why, and again, it's 10 years ago, 15 years ago, transfers had kind of a bad connotation to it. It doesn't anymore, because guys are leaving for different reasons, many of them legitimate reasons. But again, fighting that on a daily basis is part of coaching now, because we also have a society that says, hit the microwave, we want it back in 30 seconds, and that's not how it works. Nothing great has ever been done right away. It takes time, there's ups and downs, there's challenges, there's setbacks that you got to bounce back from. And one of the messages we send all the time is, you become the man you are because of the stuff you've had to fight through, and that's a loss, bouncing back, because now you're playing Saturday afternoon and now you got to get a win. So all those things for me, the biggest thing is be transparent and have open lines of communication all the time, and talk about stuff that maybe isn't happening now, but is going to happen, to prepare the guys for it.
Speaking of the transfer portal, what are your thoughts on the transfer portal windows?
I think it's good. I think it gives the recruits, or not the recruits, the guys entering the portal ample opportunity to find a new place to play, and it does give the coaches ample opportunity to find replacements for those players that are leaving. I think there has to be, again, some guidelines, guardrails set up in this new world that we're all facing, and I think those are good. I'm fine with them.
Have you gotten the feeling from some of those transfers, high level guys, Keyshawn and Selton and Tyler, that they sense an opportunity to really change the program coming in, but still kind of fit into a system that's got a lot of returners coming back?
Yeah, I do, and I think that's one of the reasons they came here. Obviously, 2 guys coming back to Florida, and then Tyler, and he talks about it all the time, knowing our program and even playing against it and kind of enjoying the way we played and different things like that. I think that was one of the big reasons he came. But the opportunity to make an impact and be part of the group that takes us another step or two, I think is very appealing to them. And at the same time, all 3 are probably going to play bigger roles than they played at their past schools, and all 3 have had very good success in 2 years for Selton and 4 years for Tyler, and all 4 years at South Carolina. Keyshawn was one of their main players. So the biggest challenge with those guys in any transfer is it just doesn't happen. And I think that's another misnomer, that okay, if a guy leaves one school, it's just going to be so much better at the next. If he doesn't make some changes, and if he doesn't continue to be coachable and want to get better and improve, then there ain't going to be much difference. And I think these 3 guys understand that.
Coach, what part of Ryan Conwell's game translates most immediately to the college level?
Well, I think he's physically ready to play at this level at 213 pounds as a freshman guard. And we have in our weight room, he's on the far left rack with Russell and Sam. He's ready to go physically, okay? He also has an unbelievable demeanor and mentality. Doesn't get rattled. He knows how to play. He can shoot the ball, play multiple positions, and he just has a feel out there that most freshmen don't have. So that's, is he gonna have freshman moments? You did when you were 18.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He will, okay? But at the same time, I think he's one of those guys who's gonna be able to put that in his rearview mirror immediately and continue to move forward.
Thank you.
Yep.
When people look at your team, I think they're going to look, maybe the transfers are an obvious story, and then Chiwa, Chaplin, guys with experience. Are there guys that you think can emerge that didn't play much last year, or other guys on the team that could take a role that maybe somebody doesn't expect right now?
Well, that's what you hope, because we're going to need more than just the first group of names that you mentioned. But I think in after 5 days of practice and some fall workouts, that some players that played for us last year in Trey Moss and DJ and Sam Hines and Boggs, I think those guys are remarkably better players. And I think they've improved individually, but I think they've also improved within our system, understanding where they can make the biggest impact within, again, the parameters. Our parameters allow for a lot of freedom and a lot of reading situations and making plays. And I think all those guys, because of what they did in the spring and summer and just another year of experience, I think they all can really help us.
All good with Coach? All right.
All
Thank you,
good?
Coach.
Thanks.